your life gonna be shit. Huh? Hello! Welcome back. Today I am here with my classic, just favorite. I can never say no to pho, ever. I love ordering from this place and they always hook it up. See, that's why you tip. They hook it up, you tip. And then here I have some fresh rolls. I actually don't know the difference between fresh rolls and spring rolls because some restaurants call them fresh rolls and they look like this, and other places call them spring rolls and they look like this. Sometimes I'll order the wrong one without knowing and they'll bring out like fried spring rolls and I don't know what the difference is. Anyways, so I'm so excited. To drink, I made something similar to the one that I made before. It's just vodka, lemon juice, cranberry juice, shaken up, and I strained it into a glass and topped it off with some diet tonic. I know it's kind of weird that it doesn't have any ice, but sometimes I'm just in the mood for that. I don't know, I like it. And everything is in the fridge and the vodka's in the freezer, so it's still cold. Let's have a sip. So good. If you guys are ever making cocktails at home, if you make a drink that's like way too sweet, add lemon or lime. That will fix the problem. And if you have the opposite problem where the drink is just way too sour, add orange juice. Orange juice or 7-Up, those two things will always balance too much acidity. Just some tips for you fellow alcoholics. Okay, so let's take a bite. Ooh, I actually haven't had pho in a while, maybe like 2 weeks. That's a while for me. For my first bite, I'm gonna do what I love doing and put everything in my spoon with a little bit of broth in there, basil, brisket, jalapeno on top. Cheers. Forgot to tell you guys, I added tapatio. I prefer tapatio in my pho over sriracha. I feel like sriracha is a little bit sweet. I like sriracha for other things, but not my pho. And I added some lemon juice. Oh my god, it's so good. I'm just gonna go crazy here for a minute, don't mind me. My ideal day off would be to order pho and watch scary movies all day. No one texts me, no one bother me. That is my me time. That is like what I dream about. Scary movies and pho. And a bottle of wine. If you guys saw my last video, today's topic is not all that different. S for stupid. So in my last video, we talked about my mom a lot. Not so much my mom, but more about like, my parents divorced when I was like 5 years old. Totally fine. I stayed living with my dad until about 7th grade, and then after that I hopped back and forth a lot, like even during high school. I stayed at the same high school, but I would commute from either house depending on who I was living with. It was a little messy, whatever, it's fine. And I feel like a lot of people who have Korean mothers will identify with what I'm going to talk about today. It's not so much about Korean, but about old-fashioned, strict mothers. That's what this is really about. Very strict, very protective, sort of not really aware or woke, those types of mothers. That's what we're talking about today. So like I said, my mom was very strict, very old-fashioned. Very strict, okay? My sister and I were not allowed to do anything. We were allowed to have some people over to our house because it didn't require us to leave the house. So on the rare occasion that my mom would feel bad and would allow us to do things with our friends, she would take us to the movies. Again, she would take us to the movies. We couldn't go to the movies alone or with our friends. Excuse me. We weren't allowed to go without her. She had to be there, but at least she was taking us to the movies, right? Here's the weird thing. She would take us to the movies and sit in the back row by herself so that she could watch us, but we would still feel kind of like we were out without our mom. I think that sounds sweet, but at the time we hated it.
What we have here are 13 passengers in an express elevator. Bomb's already taken out cables. Bomber wants $3 million or he blows the emergency brakes.
Anything else that'll keep this elevator from falling?
People were doing all kinds of shit back then. They were going to parties, they were going to the mall, like their moms would drop them off and let them do their thing. We weren't allowed to do anything. For the most part, it did feel like my mom wasn't really like with us, but the fact that we knew she was sitting in the back, it sounds so sad. So anyway, so that's the kind of mom that she was. Pretty common if you have really strict parents. And this is very, very, very pertinent, okay? My mom is extremely religious. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I don't mean that she's extremely religious, like she's like, that's all she talks about and that's how she behaves. You probably like wouldn't know right away that she is so religious. She kind of keeps it like in here, you know? What I mean is that she's not out there trying to fucking evangelize, okay? She was the reason why I became so involved with my church. Later on, eventually I did, but at the beginning, I fucking hated it. Let me explain. It's because we went to a Korean church, like very Korean, don't speak any English type of church. Don't get me wrong, I speak Korean, but I don't speak Bible Korean. So I would have to sit through all of the services at church, not understanding a single thing the pastor is saying. And I would argue with my mom all the time about like, why am I going? I don't know what's the point? I can't understand him. She'd be like, you don't have to understand, you go because you're showing God. Like, so right around the time that they were trying to make this church experience, why did I do this? It's a church. They were trying to make the church experience more targeted towards kids who didn't want to go because we couldn't understand anything. So their solution to that problem, this is so fucking crazy. They bought these headphone sets. Oh my God. They bought these headphone sets. You would grab them from the basket up at the front if you needed translation. You would put the headphones on and turn the thing to a certain station. And there was like an older Korean lady sitting downstairs in the basement translating the pastor in real time. Eventually they had a member of the youth group translate for him and she was a lot better at it. But in the beginning when they were just kind of trying it out, they had a random woman from the congregation and she doesn't even really speak that good of English. So like there was really no point and the translations were 하나님은 당신을 사랑하고 God loving you so much. 당신을 위한 계획을 가지고 있습니다. He have a plan, you. 우리 주님은 항상 내 앞길을 바른 길로 인도하신다. You have to let God driving. Driving. Good way. Good driving. 아멘. 누가 나를 푸른 초장에 누이시며 쉴만한 물가로 인도하시는도다. He make you laying down in water. 할렐루야, 할렐루야. 하나님이 말씀을 사용하여 성령의 열매를 맺게 하십시오. You making God fruit. After that, eventually they did have somebody in the youth group do the translations and she was a lot better at it, like I said. So like, but in the beginning, oh my God, that was fucking gold. Like listening to her hilarious translation of the pastor was like now the thing that I looked forward to in going to church. This next one's actually very, very common if you have immigrant parents. If you have parents that don't speak the language, you are their interpreter. No matter how old you are. Literally, my sister and I were going to places with my mom, like the courthouse or the DMV, and we're like fucking 10. We would have to help her with like legal issues or like talking to the bank about certain things. I had no idea what. Like at that time, even when they're talking to me in English at the DMV, I don't know what any of this means. So how am I supposed to translate? You get it. Number 322. 우리다, 빨리. Hello. Okay, so we have the basic information all filled in. So basically the next time you come in, just make sure that you bring 2 documents to prove your current address along with your passport or your birth certificate, okay? 뭐래? 다 했대? 응? 다 했대? 그럼 끝났어? 응. 오. Thank you. 오케이. Having nice day. 와, 우리 딸 천재네. I think this next one is more unique to my mom. If there was ever an instance where she allowed a friend to stay over, right? Oh my god. Whether they come over for a sleepover or dinner or the movies or whatever it is, when they first come over, everything starts out a little awkward at first because like obviously my friends and my mom can't communicate, and whenever my mom does try to communicate, her accent is so thick that they usually can't understand what she's saying anyway. So it usually starts off pretty quiet, but eventually my mom would get a little bit more comfortable and they would start to have, you know, like very basic conversation, right? And once they start to kind of get somewhere, like they can actually sort of understand each other and they actually start talking a little bit, my mom would get to a point where she would kind of forget that she has such a thick accent and she would just go off and leave my friend in the dust of the Arizona desert. I'm so glad you came over for dinner. I know, it's been so long. Here, come meet my mom. Oh yeah, 엄마. This is Kristen. Hi. Oh, hello. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and then we can go to dinner. Okay, okay. You have a nice home. Huh? I like your house. Ah, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. You making sure you waiting until married. Don't having sex. I'm telling you, you having sex, your life gonna be shit. Really? Your life gonna be shit. And you making sure he nice to you. He treating you like queen. I have a man, he don't treating me like a queen. I say, hey, get the hell out of here. I say. And making sure you don't eating nighttime. Your stomach are looking like a blow up. My mom and I had a very interesting relationship growing up. It got kind of messy. Obviously, it's not really till you're older that you kind of understand where she must have been coming from and the fact that she did what she thought was best. That being said, she did a lot for me, and the communication barrier between us really kept us from having like deep, more complex conversations that I needed to be having as I was going through high school. And I would get really frustrated because there was such a language barrier. In everyday life, it was fine. But if I was ever going through something, I just really couldn't communicate it to her, and that was really hard. There was a lot of resentment, and I was really I was in a pretty bad place. I was mean a lot to everyone. There was just a lot of stuff that I couldn't understand. Now I do, thank God. And all of these things, they're all made in good fun. But at the end of the day, she's lived quite a life and she sacrificed a lot for me. And hey, she did a pretty good job. I mean, look how I turned out. I'm so full. That was like a therapy session, actually. It's pretty nice. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed. I hope it was entertaining at least. So yeah, if you grew up with old-fashioned strict parents and any of these things you can relate to, let me know. We can have a sob fest together. I'll bring vodka. Just kidding, I'll bring ramen. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.